Hello everyone, Ryan here. So I wanted to start reviewing some classic books that I feel are underrated and or not really talked about that much on BookTube. So I figured I'd start with one of my all-time favorites, The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. H.G. Wells is also one of my all-time favorite science fiction writers, authors. Of course, in The Time Machine, the main character is this genius inventor guy who eventually creates a time machine, obviously. And he just travels as far as he can into the future. Of course, this time machine, it is stationary, so what that means is when he pushes this lever, as it travels into the future, it stays in the same spot. It's just everything else around him and the time machine changes, so he gets to witness all of these changes throughout his the city that he lives in, which is I believe somewhere in London. Yeah, I'm pretty sure of that, but definitely somewhere in England. And of course, he is living in the time of like the 1800s, early 1900s, and so he's able to see all these different changes take place right in front of him, such as, different fashion trends, a lot of technological developments. He also witnesses the first model cars that are made available to the public and how quickly that becomes like a common form of transportation. He also witnesses different things that are like akin to modern warfare. So yeah, and eventually he travels so far into the future that he finds himself in this like post-apocalyptic world, and mankind has essentially divided into two species. The first is the childlike Eloi, they live on the surface, and the other is the subterranean Morlocks. They're kind of like, to me, they remind me of like a combination of like mole people with also kind of like vampiric beings of some kind. Because, in addition to only being able to live underground and see in the dark and all that, they do have super strength and are also very intelligent, which compares to the Eloi, even though they seem to be living in this kind of blissful paradise, at the same time they're also blissfully ignorant. And so yeah, and then of course the main character, he starts questioning all these different things. He wants to know what happened to what ultimately caused mankind to divide into these two different species, and he becomes very inquisitive naturally. So he's a scientist, inventor, so yeah, naturally he's going to be inquisitive. And eventually he does stumble upon this interesting secret. Of course, I don't want to give it away, especially if you haven't read this book. But it is definitely worth a read. I've read this so many times that I've lost count. Definitely, I do give it 5 out of 5 stars, obviously. I have to. Now, of course, there is a movie adaptation. Well, there's two. The original came out sometime, I want to say, in the late 50s, early 60s. It's a pretty decent adaptation, even though special effects are obviously cheesy by today's standards. But I enjoyed it. The second adaptation came out, I want to say, sometime in the early 2000s, 2000 or 2001. And it's okay, too. The special effects in that one are much better. But ultimately, I do feel like the book is still much better than both of those. Also because the ending in the book is a lot different. He ultimately, after he figures out what's going on with the Eloi and the Morlocks, he decides to go even further into the future, which is interesting. So, again, I won't give any of more details away. But I do recommend everybody reads this. I believe everybody should read this at least once, definitely at least once in their lifetime. Especially if you're a big science fiction fan like me. But even if you're not, it's still very much a commentary on society and politics and everybody's different, the different ideals and beliefs that each of us adhere to. So yeah, definitely read it if you haven't already. Again, I give it 5 out of 5 stars. That'll do it for my review of The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. As always, until next time, keep it real, keep on rocking, and peace.